Okay, so in this video I'm going to talk about sound and visual elements. In addition to having a voiceover, it's good to have music that might fit the mood, because music and visual elements will actually help often increase the conversions, just because people can see. You appeal to the audio and you can appeal to the visual audience as well. Now the question is, how do you find sound and visual elements? Well, let's start with royalty-free music soundtracks. If I go to Google here and I'm searching for musical soundtracks, there's several sites that I would recommend. It really depends on whether you're going to create many more promo videos in the future or not. Whether you want to sign up for a membership site that offers a lot, or you just want to buy one soundtrack here and one soundtrack there. There's one called Music Bakery, and if you go to musicbakery.com, I've used this site before. I haven't used it lately just because I create a lot of promotional videos and I want to have a whole stack of them. Royalty-free music downloads by Music Bakery, they provide a lot of royalty-free music that a lot of big Fortune 500 companies and big companies use. As you can see here, you got AT&T, National Geographic, Blue Cross Blue Shield, things like that. The main thing you need to watch out for is the licensing. The good thing about Music Bakery is it's pay once and use it forever. You're looking for royalty-free soundtracks. Royalty-free means that most of them is like you pay once and you can use it forever. So the nice thing about the Music Bakery is if you go through each and every one, you basically need to find, okay, what is my market and what would, they be open to? What kind of music would appeal to them most? Like romantic music, or if you're doing something with dating, you probably want to find something like romantic. If you had comedy music, you could, comedy product or a funny product. If you had something related to fashion, you'd have to find the purpose first. That's why I say know your audience and know your purpose first, and then find the soundtrack that appeals to that market the most. So Music Bakery is a good one. Another one that I would recommend is located at ibaudio.com. So if you type in IB Audio, I actually use IB Audio for a long period of time to create promotional videos. I don't use them anymore just because I use another site. However, IB Audio is great because if you're looking for full soundtracks, they have a lot and a huge variety of them. So like I said, find your target market, figure out what would best suit them. The nice thing about IB Audio is that you can join their site for like about a year, and you can have as much access to any of these soundtracks, which is the nice thing. A lot of sites out there require you to pay for each individual song, or they separate each stock music into categories, so you have to purchase categories in different categories, which is fine if you do decide to create a lot more promotional videos. But if you're thinking to yourself, well, I just want to try this out maybe for the first year and see how it goes. If I'm able to master creating promotional videos, then great. Maybe I can invest in more. But what I'm basically saying is invest little by little first, and then invest more later if you're doing well. And of course that brings us to royalty-free images. I would highly recommend that you go to a place called bigstockphoto.com. That's bigstockphoto.com. There are many other sites out there, but this is my biggest recommendation just because their license is a lot freer than iStock Photo and all the other sites. Of course, iStock Photo has images and things like that as well. It really depends on what you want to do with your video, but if you're just using it as a promotional video, then yeah, check out iStock Photo and all the other sites. But make sure that you read the license first before you purchase anything. And of course, that brings us to the last thing, royalty-free animations. How do you get animations? How do you get video clips to make your videos a lot more professional? There's one called revostock.com. revostock.com. Revostock is great because you can, as you can see here, you have royalty-free video, which you can add to your site. You also have sound effects and music, but they have good music too. I haven't actually used their sound effects, but I've used their music, and their music is great as well. Let's say you don't want to dish out a ton of money for IB Audio or Music Bakery. Revostock, their music is a lot cheaper, and you can pretty much shift through them. But as far as visual elements go, I'd say Revostock is great. iStockPhoto.com also has good visual elements as well. And if you're thinking, okay, well, how can I actually use these visual elements? Well, one of my sites, I'm just going to go here for an example. Okay, so if I skip to this area here, you'll notice that I use an image here, right? And then you notice that I enter video clips of real people. But right now, you probably can't hear it, but basically a voiceover is going on. But you can intertwine, and you can put together images and video together, and then you can put text on the video itself. I just wanted to show you a quick promotional video in action. But Revostock is great, iStock Photo is great, and check these out because if you're on a limited budget, they only charge you about $10 or $20 each. So if you wanted to use that, or if you wanted to use pictures work great too. It doesn't need to be video clips all the time, but video clips often engage people and push hot buttons because they can actually see, imagine things in their head by seeing visual elements. But basically, your goal is to find all three of these and mix them all together and create a great promotional video. Now, one thing I'm going to note before we move on is that when you have a soundtrack, you're going to have beats, right? Well, as those beats go, you want to make it flow. So the visual elements need to sort of go with the beats. So if you have words coming out, you need to make sure that you synchronize the words with the beats. And if you do that, you make it flow better. If you don't do that, and even though people are listening to the voiceover, if they don't all synchronize together, then it's going to create some sort of uneasiness with the viewer or your prospect. So that's one thing to keep in mind, but we'll actually look at that later on when we put everything together.